Shabbat shalom, everybody.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom, everybody. Hallelujah. We thank the Most High Yahuah. We thank Him for His Son, Mashiyach, Yahusha. We just thank Him for allowing us to come out today to be here on another set-apart Shabbat to break bread in the natural and spiritual. We thank Him for how He has carried us throughout our weeks and protected us from all hurt, harm, danger seen and unseen. And we don't take these things for granted. We just thank the Most High with all we have within us. We love Him so much for these things, and we just thank Him for continuing to do these things for us. So this week is going to be a continuation of a lesson we've been going over for the last 3 weeks or so about the covenants. And this week we are going to start on the Noahic covenant. In the previous week we have gone over what makes a covenant, what's within a covenant, being that you have two kinds of covenants. You have conditional, unconditional, unilateral, bilateral, and seeing how these covenants pertain to the nation of Yashra'al. So we started with the Adamic covenant, and we went through it. Now we are beginning the Noahic covenant. We will be reading in our scriptures from Bereshit 9, verse 1 through 17. Genesis, the 9th chapter, verse 1 through 17. We're going to have Rob Aloof, Yikitsukael, if he would, to read that particular, or those particular verses for us. Bereshit, or Genesis, the 9th chapter, beginning at verse 1, and we're going to read all the way down to verse 17.
Genesis 9, verse 1. And Elohim blessed Noah, or Noach, and his sons, and said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be upon every beast of the earth, and upon every fowl of the air, upon all that moveth upon the earth, and upon all the fishes of the sea. Into your hand are they delivered. Every moving thing that lives shall be meat for you, even as the green herb have I given you all things. But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood thereof, shall you not eat. And surely your blood of your lives will I require, at the hand of every beast will I require it, and at the hand of man, at the hand of every man's brother will I require the life of man. Whoso sheds man's blood, by man shall his blood be shed, for in the image of Elohim made he man. And you, be you fruitful and multiply, bring forth abundantly in the earth, and multiply therein. And Elohim spake unto Noach, or Noah, and to his sons with him, saying, And I, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your seed after you, and with every living creature that is with you, of the fowl of the cattle, and of every beast of the earth with you, from all that go out of the ark to every beast of the earth. Verse 11. And I will establish my covenant with you, neither shall all flesh be cut off any more by the waters of a flood, neither shall there any more be a flood to destroy the earth. And Elohim said, This is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass, when I bring a cloud over the earth, that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant, which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the water shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth. Verse 17. And Elohim said unto Noah, or Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth.
Hallelujah. So, we see here what's going on with Noah. Now, in the Noahic covenant, the first question we need to ask is, who are the participants of this covenant? Anybody can answer?
Noah and his Mishpachah.
Noah and who? Noah and his family. Anybody else? Okay. Anybody else? So, somebody said Noah and his family. Someone said Noah and seed after him. Someone. What did you say, Robert? Or you didn't say? Or you were scared?
No.
Okay. This covenant was made between Yahuah and Noah.
That's what I exactly.
Thank you. I saw the look on your face.
You see, I wanted to recap what I said because, yeah, he made it between him and Noah.
So, what you want to see here, remember, just like Adam is standing in as a representative for who? The whole race of mankind. Because there has been a flood and life has been destroyed, now you have Noah and who? His family. But the Most High spoke to Noah. Noah stood as what? As a representation for the rest of mankind. Because you only have Noah and his family now. So, this is what we want to see with this. And as a result of the flood, not only does humanity descend from who? Adam. Now you see what? But also from Noah. Do y'all see how both of these stories or both of these covenants are working together? You have Adam, the first man, or of his kind, and he's standing as, as a representation of all of mankind. Now, you see Noah, once there's a flood, his family is saved. Now he's standing as a representative of who? Mankind as well, because his family is the only of the human race that exists to this point. Him, his two wives, and what? 3 sons. Okay. Now, let's look at the provisions of this covenant. When Adam was exiled out of the garden, what was he commanded? Okay then. Was he going to do all that work by himself? Thank you. He said be what? Be fruitful and multiply. Let's go back to verse 1 of Bereshit 9. Genesis 9th chapter. We're going to ask Rob Zakan, Kabaral, if you would read verse 1.
Genesis 9:1. And Elohim blessed Noah and his sons, and said unto them, be fruitful and multiply.
Be fruitful and multiply. Is that not the same thing he told Adam and Eve?
Yes.
Adam? You see him telling the same thing to Noah? So far, you see how these stories are exactly the same, aren't they?
Exactly.
Because what you will find out, and one thing I want us to get out of these teachings or this lesson of covenants, one thing you'll find out of all of these covenants that we're going to deal with, not at one time is it a new covenant. He takes the original covenant that was given to Adam, passed down to who? Noah, to Abraham moving forward. But what will you see? Each time he adds something to it. He never changes the covenant. Each time he just adds something to each covenant. Very important. That's how you should know when it comes to the Abrahamic covenant. That covenant is made with a group of people, the nation of Yashra'al. And so you're going to see something. He's not changing the covenant. He's just adding to the covenant. Now he has a covenant, what? A covenant people that he uses on behalf of who? On behalf of the rest of mankind. Every time you're going to see a representative stands in on behalf of who? The rest of mankind. Even though we call ourselves 12 tribes, we're still called Jacob or Israel. We still stand one as a unit in representation. We're representative for the rest of the nations on earth. That's the whole purpose of Yahuah, raising up a people unto himself. So, we see that the participants in the covenant were of Yahuah and Noah. The provisions of the covenant, the first provision was that man do what? Or Noah be what? Fruitful and multiply. So with the exception of how many people, the earth was destroyed by what? Flood. How many people survived the flood? 8. You say 8. You say you don't know. Go to you.
And all the sons have wives?
Yeah.
So 8.
So 8. Okay, you're right. 8. It's not a trick question. She knew the answer. She just thought. I'm just making sure everybody knows, that's all.
Right.
Because, you know, there are a lot of things you hear. You hear people like, they will say that Noah took the animals on the ark 2 by 2.
Right.
And that's not true. Go to look at me like, well, how did you take them on the ark? Was it 2 by 2?
Clean and unclean.
Right, it was the clean and unclean. He only took the unclean 2 by 2. The clean he took 7. So this is what these questions, they might seem like they're trick questions, but I'm genuinely and honestly trying to get a feel for where people are, because we have been taught a lot of things coming out of these other institutions. But when you go look at the scripture, you see they read or speak or say otherwise. Okay then, so the human race was destroyed by a flood. So let's take a read, and let's read at Bereshit 6 and 5. Genesis, shalom, Akeem, shalom. Genesis 6 and 5. Bereshit or Genesis 6 and 5. You can get it because he. Anybody got it? Go ahead. You got it?
No, I'm asking.
Genesis.
Genesis 6 and 5. You got it, Courtney? Go ahead.
Genesis 6 and 5. And Yahuah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Read that one more time. Y'all listen to this very closely.
And Yahuah saw that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination of the thoughts of his heart was only evil continually.
Okay then. What happened with the wickedness of man during Noah's time? All of the wickedness in his heart was what? Magnified. Mankind was really evil. Now, what you see with the Adamic covenant, when Adam was cast out of the garden, what did the Most High do with Adam? Did not he give him dominion and authority over the earth? Am I right? He gave Adam dominion and authority over the earth. But after the flood, because of the wickedness of mankind and mankind's heart, when he saved the remaining of mankind, which were 8 people, you notice he did not transfer that dominion onto man? With Adam, with Noah's seed, he did not transfer that authority that he had given Adam over the earth. He did not transfer it over to Noah and his seed, his sons and wife, and their offspring. Now let's go over to, let's read in John 12 and 31. Kotisha, you get that. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. Koti, you get that for me. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. The first place we're going to read is John 12 and 31. Yahuah 12, 31. Then we're going to go to 2 Corinthians 4 and 4. Because I just made a statement. Let's see if that can be back.
Okay. John 12 and 31. Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out.
Say it again.
Now is the judgment of this world. Now shall the prince of this world be cast out.
Who is the prince of this world? Shaitan. You remember, Shaitan had dominion over the earth when he was cast out of heaven. He fell. Once Adam and Kawas were exiled out of the garden, that dominion was taken from Shaitan, given to who? Adam, Kawas. After the flood with Noah, dominion was not transferred to man again. It was moved from man and given back to who? Shaitan. 2 Corinthians 4 and 4.
Corinthians 4 and 4. In whom the mighty one of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, as the light of the magnificent good news of the Messianic, who is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them.
Okay, read that again now.
In whom the mighty one of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the magnificent good news of the Messianic, who is the image of Elohim, should shine unto them.
Yep. So we see right here, it's in whom Yahuah of this world has, in whom the Elohim of this world has blinded the minds of them which believe not. Not lest the light of the glorious gospel or good news of Christ, who is the image of Yahuah, should shine unto them. So what we see here is man lost dominion of the earth. Now, one thing we about to find out with Shaitan, can he not take his authority and give this authority or pass it to a people? Do y'all remember when Mashiyach was to be tested and tried? Who was right there at his side? Come on, y'all. Was not Shaitan present? And what did he tell Mashiyach? He said, if you bow down and what? Worship me, I will do what? He said, won't I give you all the kingdoms of the world? So, at that time, who was given that authority? Thank you, Akeem. Shaitan. You saw authority taken from Shaitan, dominion, given to Adam. Adam was exiled. Now Adam has dominion over the earth. mankind becomes so wicked, the Most High spares or saves Noah and his family, but he does not transfer the authority that Noah had to his son and the offspring that would come from him. So he removes it, it takes it back. Now it's given back to Shaitan. Now we have what is called what? The second Adam. Who is the second Adam? Yahusha. What does he come to do? Say it again, Aki. Exactly, to repair what the old Adam did what? What he failed to do. Now, did he not say he's going to do what? He's going to subject all things unto himself? And then he's going to subject himself and all things to who? The Father. So dominion will be taken back from Shaitan, and now it'll be captured and taken back by the second Adam. So you see a transfer of authority going on with all of these covenants. Okay. So secondly, we see that the field man was put into all the animals, and man was to what? Dominate them. Now man was going to dominate over the animals. It said while man has lost authority over the earth, he was still to dominate and have authority over the animal kingdom. For this reason, fear of man was placed in animals. The fear was means of self what? Preservation. Anybody know what self-preservation means? Okay, then to preserve yourself by means of what? You got to get some teeth, as the old folks say. Okay, then, and thirdly, man's died. All before, what was man died in the garden? Huh?
Was it food?
Okay, fruit. They were on what pretty much we would say a vegan diet. Okay, but now something has changed. It's that man diet was to consist what? Both of every moving thing and every green herb. Now you got to put some meat in them salads. Oh, before. Y'all don't just cut the food out. If you don't want to eat meat, you don't have to eat it. But we can see now man's diet consists of both what, every moving thing and every green herb. Previously, like I said, his diet consisted of, it was a vegetarian diet. Now, not all animals, but the clean animals have been included. Okay, now the fourth thing we should be seeing, because we're all looking at the provisions within the Noahic covenant. It's that man was forbidden to do what? Eat blood. It's an all living creatures, life, both man and animal, is blood sustained. Blood is a symbol of what? Life. Blood is a symbol of life. And the shedding of blood is a symbol of what? Death. The only way you can shed blood, you're going to have to kill something. So the shedding of blood is a symbol of death. Because blood is a symbol of life, Yahuah commanded that it be not eaten or drinking. And what was one of the many things that got the nation of Yashra'al in trouble? When they went amongst the nation, you know that the culture of the nations and what they were doing and the practices of the nation. Did not he forget us to eat meat that had not been properly cut? Because when you don't properly cut animal, what happens? Huh?
When you say you don't properly cut?
Yeah, we don't properly cut and drain, but you know we had to drain the blood. So.
It'll build up toxins and stress.
I think exactly. And not only that, when it comes to the nations, that's why I was at a restaurant one time. I kid you not. This man sitting across from me was eating a steak. I kid you not. It was sitting in a plate full of blood. And I'm like, there's no way he can eat that. And when I heard when the lady asked him to her, how would you like your steak? He said, knock the horns off and put it on the plate. He was there, he said, knock the horns off and put it on the plate.
Wow.
And I know one guy, he told him, put it in the pan, flip it, then put it on the plate. And this is why he commanded us not to do these things. The fifth provision is capital punishment became a part of what? The human economy for the first time. When Cain killed Abel, Cain was not executed because capital punishment had not been instituted. And plus, when it comes to the law, can anyone tell me why Cain was not put to death or executed for killing Abel? Anybody? Why wasn't Cain put to death?
Because it wasn't on purpose. He didn't kill him on purpose.
Right? He didn't kill him on purpose. So in the law, when it says thou shalt not kill, we can see where if a life was taken, many times people were put to death. But not all the time were individuals put to death under the law for killing another person or taking another person's life. Now, we have what is called the city of refuge. Does anybody understand the purpose of the city of refuge? You want to explain to them?
Remember, city of refuge is if a situation happens where a brother accidentally killed another brother, so that he's not retaliated against before a just trial is commenced by the elders or judges. There's cities of refuge that he can go into and be judged safely in those cities of refuge into a specific amount of appointed time in which the rage of retaliation from individuals that want to attack him is dissipated, and then he's allowed to be released back into the land.
Exactly. Now, what was the key word he said and all that? Y'all heard the word accidentally? That's the key. Accidentally killed. And so most of the time, that time period was until the priest or the high priest in that land died. When he died, they were to return back to their home. But the key thing you got to get out of that is, he said it gave a lot of time for what? That rage and that anger to sort of kind of subdue. Because guess what? If you retaliate and somebody is accidentally killed, maybe your brother or whoever, and that family retaliates, and they take the life of that individual, what have they done? Did not Torah say you bring a curse upon the whole land? You bring a curse upon the whole land. So when we see what Cain and Abel, he didn't kill his brother out of hatred. Because you can just be angry and get to fight with a person. And in your anger, y'all fight. Do you not know you can punch a person that knows the wrong way and kill them? You didn't purposely try to kill them out of hatred or anger towards that person. Y'all will fight, and out of anger, you hit them, and you just hit them the wrong way. And they died as a result from that punch. They died. So that's very important to know. Now, the sixth provision or promise of that covenant is that humanity will what? Never again be destroyed by what? By flood. Okay. But he said that humanity wouldn't be destroyed by flood, the earth. That lets you know that there's a teaching out here that the flood was only a part of one region. It did not, the whole earth was not flooded. But I beg to differ. I beg to differ. So the seventh, the token of the covenant was to be what? He said, the token of this covenant shall be what? A rainbow. Okay, then give verse 12 up again. Bereshit 9, 12 through 17.
And Elohim said, this is the token of the covenant which I make between me and you and every living creature that is with you for perpetual generations. I do set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a token of a covenant between me and the earth. And it shall come to pass when I bring a cloud over the earth that the bow shall be seen in the cloud. And I will remember my covenant which is between me and you and every living creature of all flesh, and the waters shall no more become a flood to destroy all flesh. And the bow shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Elohim and every living creature of flesh, of all flesh that is upon the earth. And Elohim said unto Noah, this is the token of the covenant which I have established between me and all flesh that is upon the earth.
Okay then. Good. Now, so what we see from this is he promised not to destroy the earth by flood again. So now we can look at something with the Noahic covenant. The Noahic covenant became the basis for the dispensation of what? Human government. It became the basis for human government. Let's read something right quick. Let's go over to Yahuah, Isaiah, verse 5 through 6. Because remember, the Noahic covenant is an unconditional covenant, and this covenant is still in effect. Isaiah, the 24th chapter, verse 5 through 6. Because they read that for
Isaiah 5, 5 and 6.
Isaiah 24, 5.
Oh, 24. Isaiah 24, 5 and 6. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof, because they have transgressed the laws, changed the ordinance, broken the everlasting covenant. Therefore hath the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of the earth are burned, and few men left.
Okay, there's an everlasting covenant that was given. It was the Noahic covenant. If you remember last week when we said, is there such thing as an eternal covenant? And the answer was what? No.
No.
They scared. The answer is no. There's no such thing as an eternal covenant. But there is such thing as what? An everlasting covenant. And we said the difference between an eternal covenant and an everlasting covenant is what?
Eternal has no beginning, no end. Everlasting is created and no end.
Okay, you said everlasting is what?
Everlasting covenant was created.
It's created, it has an origin. Right, a beginning. You're right. But an eternal covenant, there's no such thing as an eternal covenant. In order for something to be eternal, it would have to what? It would have to not have a beginning nor an end. Okay, good on that. So, what we see in Isaiah, it said, judgment comes because humanity has violated the everlasting covenant. So when we go back to Genesis 9 and 16, get that for me, Chadasha.
And the boat shall be in the cloud, and I will look upon it, that I may remember the everlasting covenant between Yahuah and every living creature of all flesh that is upon the earth.
Okay, and now, if you would, go back over to get Isaiah 24 and verse 18.
Isaiah 24 and 18. It will come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake.
And so what you're looking at here is the prophet Isaiah is using a flood motif to describe an event when he uses the windows on high and the foundations of the earth. Now he was saying that Yahuah will destroy the masses of humanity next time by what? By fire. Thank you. He's going to destroy the masses of humanity next time by fire. So when we look at that, it should come to pass that he who flees from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit, and he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in a snare. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundation of the earth do shake. It said the earth is utterly broken down, the earth is clean, dissolved, the earth is moved exceedingly. So, now we want to look at something called the Abrahamic covenant. Now, when we go over to Bereshit 12, or Genesis 12, let's go to Genesis 12, verse 1 through 3. Rob, if I can.
Genesis 12 and 1. Now Yahuah had said unto Abram, Get thee out of thy country, and from thy kindred, and from thy father's house, into a land that I will show thee. And I will make thee great, and I will make thee a great nation, and I will bless thee and make thy name great, and thou shalt be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse them that curse you. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed.
Okay, read that one more time.
Right. Genesis 12, verse 1. And Yahuah had said unto Abraham, Get you out of your country, and from your kindred, and from your father's house, into a land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation, and I will bless you and make your name great, and you shall be a blessing. And I will bless them that bless you, and curse him that curseth you. And in you shall all families of the earth be blessed.
Okay. We see something going on between what? Yahuah and Abraham. Now, get Bereshit 12 and 7. Shema, if you would, go to Genesis 12 and 7.
And Yahuah appeared unto Abraham and said, Unto thy seed will I give this land, and there builded he an altar unto Elohim who appeared unto him.
Okay. And Yahuah appeared unto Abram and said, Unto your seed will I give this land, and there build he an altar unto Yahuah who appeared unto him. Now, we're going to go to Bereshit 13, or Genesis 13, verses 14 through 17. Or 14. Genesis 13, verses 14 through 17.
And Yahuah said unto Abram, that lodge was separated from him, lift up now thine eyes and look from the place where thou art northward and southward, and eastward and westward. For all the land which thou seest, to thee will I give it, and to thy seed forever. And I will make thy seed as the dust of the earth, so that if a man can number the dust of the earth, then shall thy seed also be numbered. Arise, walk through the land in the length of it and in the breadth of it, for I will give it unto thee.
So there's a certain thing with all the passages we just read. What is that thing within that these passages? You see one word that stands out more so than any other.
The word forever.
Forever, and I'm looking for another word too. What? Seed, and also something else.
Land.
Thank you. Land. Land. Okay then. But all of those other words are important because you do see seed as a continuation also, but I think seed and land is kind of, that they go together. You know what I'm saying? Now, let's go to Bereshit 15, verse 1 through 21. Genesis 15, verse 1 through 21. Rob Zakan.
Oh. Okay.
You can stop and take a sip of water. When you
I'm
get there.
good. Bereshit, or Genesis 15 and 1. After these things, the word of Yahuah came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, Fear not, Abraham, I am your shield and your exceeding great reward. And Abraham said, Yahuah Elohim, what will you give me, seeing I go childless? And the steward of my house is this, Eleazar in Damascus. And Abraham said, Behold, to me you hast given no seed, and lo, one born in my house is mine heir. And behold, the word of Yahuah came unto him, saying, This shall not be your heir, but he that shall come forth out of your own bowels shall be your heir. And he brought him forth abroad, and said, Look now toward heaven, and tell the stars, if thou be able to number them. And he said unto him, So shall your seed be. And he believed in Yahuah, and he counted it to him for righteousness. And he said unto him, I am Yahuah, that brought you out of Ur of the Chaldees to give you this land to inherit it. And he said, Yahuah Elohim, whereby shall I know that I shall inherit it? And he said unto him, Take me an heifer of 3 years old, and a she-goat of 3 years old, of 3 years old, and a ram of 3 years old, and a turtle dove, and a young pigeon. And he took unto him all these, and divided them in the midst, and laid each piece one against another. But the birds divided he not. And when the fowls came down upon the carcass, Abraham drove them away. And when the sun was going down, a deep sleep fell upon Abraham. And lo, an horror of great darkness fell upon him. And he said unto Abraham, Know of a surety that your seed shall be a stranger in a land that is not theirs, and shall serve them, and they shall afflict them 400 years. And also that nation whom they shall serve will I judge, and afterwards shall they come out with great substance. And you shall go, and you shall go to your fathers in peace. You shall be buried in a good old age. But in the 4th generation they shall come hither again, for the iniquity of the Amorites is not yet full. And it came to pass that when the sun went down and it was dark, behold, a smoking furnace and a burning between those pieces. In the same day, Yahuah made a covenant with Abraham, saying, unto your seed have I given this land, from the river Egypt unto the great river, the river Euphrates. The Kenites, the Kenizzites, and the Kadmonites, and the Hittites, and the Perizzites, and the Rephaims, and the Amorites, and the Canaanites, and the Girgashites, and the Jebusites.
Okay, so we see something going on here. Yahuah had entered into covenant with Abraham. What kind of covenant is this? You have two parties, it seems to be involved in this covenant. Who would those two parties be? Or who would those two participants be within this covenant? Huh? Okay, Abraham and Yahuah, okay. What kind of covenant is it? Is this a bilateral covenant or unilateral covenant?